whenever we speak about contraception, we need to remember that we're speaking about an issue that's very difficult for a lot of people. There's a lot of confusion about the issue, and there's a great struggle in making a decision about how to live out one's sexuality. But the first thing we need to talk about is, what is contraception? Well, contraception, or birth control, is any act before, during, or after sexual intercourse that renders it sterile. Any act that prevents conception from happening as a result of the sexual act. Secondly, we need to speak about, what does the church teach? For many years, the church has been very consistent in what she teaches about contraception. She's always taught that it is immoral. It is not right to engage in the gift of sexuality without receiving all of its gifts, without receiving all of the purposes for which it is intended. What are the purposes of the sexual act? In other words, why does the church say that contraception is wrong? Well, there are two purposes that we're going to focus on. They're called, the first is the unitive dimension of the conjugal act. The unitive dimension comes to us all the way from Genesis. When God created Adam and Eve, He gave them the gift of each other. He gave them the gift of their masculinity and femininity that perfectly complemented each other. He gave them the gift of their sexuality to be at the core of their marital relationship. And we remember that at the very beginning, He said, the two shall become one flesh. That in that act, a man and a woman become one, that there is unity there, that there is truly a unitive dimension to the conjugal act that cannot be taken out of it. Secondly, there is a procreative dimension. We also remember in Genesis that at that very first marriage, God gave the blessing of fertility to Adam and Eve. When He told them, the very first command He gave them, actually, was to be fruitful and multiply. So we see that the unitive dimension of the two becoming one flesh leads directly into the procreative dimension of having the possibility of new life, the openness to children. When a couple comes to the altar to get married, they say a number of things. The priest asks them, have you come here freely and without reservation? They say yes. He says, do you promise to receive children lovingly from God? And they say yes. But the yes that they give that day is supposed to be lived out through the remainder of their lives, particularly through the gift of their sexuality, that I give myself without reservation and that I am open to the gift of children. When we introduce contraception into a couple's relationship, even if they have the best of intentions, the procreative and the unitive dimensions that are intact in the sexual act become separated. And the act that is supposed to be what John Paul II says is a truthful sign actually becomes broken. And what is supposed to be the truth of the two becoming one flesh as the basis of a good marriage becomes broken. Suddenly, there is a problem that many people can't even see. And just as a little example of this, consider if you were to ask me about using my phone, that you want to borrow my phone and you want to make a call. And I say, well, I'd like to give it to you. I want to, but I don't feel comfortable giving you the whole thing. I can't say yes to all of that. I want to let you use my phone. I want to let you make a call, but I just can't feel like I can give you all of it. I'm not sure I trust you with all of it. And you say, well, please, just give me all that you can give me. And I say, well, I'll do my best, but I can't give you everything. But I will give you what I can give you. And so, would you like to have my phone? You can use it if you want. And you would say, no, what are you talking about? And I'd say, well, would you rather have the keypad? You're welcome to use it. And maybe I'd even say, well, you're welcome to have the whole thing. You know that this is ridiculous, that in order to do that, that I've just now broken the phone completely. That by trying to not give you the whole thing, I have rendered it unusable. I've taken the very reason that it exists completely away from the phone. And so now you can't call anyone, you can't connect with people. It's now, if one dimension is apart from the other, it doesn't work. And there are people, I think that we can look at the sexual act inside of marriage the same way. That if we no matter how good our intentions are, no matter how innocent we think we are in trying to approach this issue, that if I try to take away the unitive dimension from the procreative dimension, or I take away the procreative dimension from the unitive dimension, you end up taking the act apart, and now the very gift of sexuality has become broken. And even if we try to put it back together again, and maybe no one else around knows, and it looks maybe to everyone else on the outside that it's intact, that everything is okay, deep down we know that it's not what it's supposed to be, that the very way that God created our sexuality has been broken apart. So in conclusion, we know that this is a difficult issue, but if we can trust God and if we can trust the church in all these other areas of our lives, just maybe we can trust God and trust the church with the gift of our sexuality.